Hey guys, Rollia or Taylor here, and I'm back with another third wave division guide. This one we're going to be taking a look at the weapon talents and what you should be looking for when you're coming across them in the open world, or if you're thinking about spending your hard-earned credits or Phoenix credits on them. I think in this guide it would only make sense to focus on the talents that improve damage. These talents will always make a weapon drop enemies a lot quicker and make the weapon feel more like a weapon rather than a bit of a water gun, as you've probably come across already. Remember though, there is only 3 that can roll on a weapon and only have the chance to roll one of those off. 2 of the 3 talents will require you to have a certain amount of the 3 main stats, that's firearms, stamina or electronics, while the third is free and therefore has no requirements at all to be activated. Right. Let's have a look at the talents that I recommend, as they will increase damage like I've already said. I say increase damage loosely because it's all done in a certain way. Some will deal more damage once you've used a skill, or they will be more damaging to the enemy armor rather than the enemy's health, and they'll be more damaging to certain enemy types. So somebody's going to recommend something different. A lot of you are going to say, what about this talent that I've come across? You know, I'm happy to answer all questions in the comments, just bear that in mind before I list them. But the talents I recommend are Destructive, which is enemy destruction value is increased by 15% when using this weapon. Uncomplicated, damage is increased by 15%, accuracy and stability mods reduce this bonus. Responsive, when closer than 10 meters from your target, your damage is increased by 10%. Ferocious, damage against elite and named enemies is increased by 10%. Brutal, plus 12% headshot damage with this weapon. Competent, weapon damage is increased by 10% for 15 seconds after using a skill. And Vicious, critical hit chance is increased by 10% whilst having more than 2 segments of health. Like I said, I'm just going to reiterate, these are all sort of my opinion. These are the talents that I like to look out for the most. Any 3 of the above talents on any weapon will easily help you through a lot of PvE and endgame content, and make the weapon feel a lot stronger than it would if it had a few of the lesser useful talents on. There are some talents that will only roll on certain weapons or weapon types. A good example of this is Uncomplicated, one that I mentioned in the list. This talent does actually only roll on the FAMAS. Now, you've probably heard a lot about the FAMAS, and that is because of the current Alpha Bridge meta where people use the FAMAS as a secondary, mainly to take use of the Uncomplicated talent, which does increase your weapon damage by 15%. But gear sets is something I'm going to leave for another video, because they're a whole new sort of level type thing. It would just be a lot to mix all into one. But moving on, of course there are a lot more talents to choose from, but remember this is my opinion and this is just to help a lot of you sort of grasp how talents work and how they can improve your weapon of choice. So you've heard me give a list of weapon talents that in my opinion are some of the best. I think it would only be fitting to show you my personal favourite weapon to have these talents on, especially in the current 1.5 build of the game. You might have already heard, but in the current build of the division, the M4 variants are some of the best weapons in the game. My personal favourite is actually the LVOAC, or the LVOAC, whatever you want to call it. It has amazing base damage and a fast fire rate assault rifle. You can actually pick up a very well rolled LVOAC in the base of operations down at the special equipment vendor that doesn't really need any re-rolling done to it. It comes equipped with Vicious, Deadly and Destructive. A very good assault rifle, like I said. It's already got a very nice fast fire rate and it's got an amazing base damage on it. So I recommend, if you have the Phoenix credits and you're watching this the week beginning the 17th of December, obviously you have 7 days from that date to pick this weapon up before it's rolled and a new set of weapons come in. You probably still have the question of what 3 should I have on my weapon? Well, a bit like the gear sets, it can be down to personal preference and how you're playing. PvE can be different to PvP talents, but for this video we're going to stick to a balance between both. In my opinion, I think you're best with Destructive, as this now applies to PvP armor as well as PvE. Brutal, because you're always aiming for the head anyway, or at least you should be. And finally, I went for Ferocious. Damage against elite and named enemies is increased by 10%. The reason I chose this is because whether you're playing PvE or PvP, you're always going to come across those named enemies and elites, whether that's Dark Zone or Open World. So I think it's almost a must-have talent on your weapon. Again guys, just remember this is my opinion and I know a lot of you will have questions. So like I've already said, feel free to leave a comment and I'll do my very best to read and answer as many as possible. If not, I'm sure somebody else can. But I think that covers it for this video. Again, a nice short, sweet, straight to the point one, hopefully. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button, and if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe for all future Division content. But until then guys, I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye bye.